श्री जमुना मैया की जय, भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Hare Hare Bol. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are reading from Canto 3rd, Chapter 4, Vidura approaches Maitreya, text number 27. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Saha Vidure Vishwamurte Gun Kathaya Sudaya Plavito Rupataha Shanmi Puline Yam Sakham Surtam Samshuti Opagwarir Nishamam Tatogat Sri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Vidurena Vishwamurte Guna Kathaya Sudhaya Plavito Rupataha Shanam Iva Shanmi Puline Yam Suvastamam Samusita Opagavir Nishamam Tatogad Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Viduren Vishwamurte Gunkathaya Sudaya Plavito Rupataha Shanmi Puline Yam Sakha Susutam Samushid Opagved Nishamam Tatogat. Anyone would like to repeat?
Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Vidurena Vishwamurter Gunakathaya Sudaya Lavitorutapa Shanam Iva Puline Yamasvasustam Samusita Aupagavir Nisham Tatogat.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Shuko Vacha Iti Shaha Vidurena Vishwamurter Uno Kathaya Shuddhaya Plavito Rutapa Shanam Iva Puline Yama Bhashustam Shamshuta Aupagabhi Nisham Tato Agata. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you so much.
Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Vidurena Vishwamurte Gunakathaya Sudhaya Plavito Rutapa Kshanam Iva Puline Yamasvasustam Samusita Aupagavir Nisham Tatogat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Vidurena Vishwamurtir Gunakataya Sudhaya Plavito Rutapa Kshanam Iva Pauline Yamaswasustam Samsusita Aupagavir Nisham Tatogat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Synonyms.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought I just joined.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Saha Viduren Vishwamurter Gunakatya Sudhya Palavitoru Tapaha Chanam Eva Pulin Yam Susata Samushita Apagavir Nisham Tato Hagat. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Iti, thus, Saha, along with Vidura, Vishwamurteha, of the universal person, Guna Kathaya, in the discourse of transcendental qualities, Sudhaya, nectarian, Plavita Urutapaha, overwhelmed by great affliction, Shanam, moment, Eva, like that, Puline, on the bank of Yamaswasuhu Tama, river Yamuna, Samsutiha, passed on, Aupagavihi, the son of Aupagava, Udva, Disham, the night, Tataha, thereafter, Agat, went away. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shukadev Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishwamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure. And the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, quality, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization of the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishwamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhuva eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Translation once again. Shukadev Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc. on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam once again. Please give me your blessings that I will be able to speak something of substance today. So we are in third canto.
Vellama.
We are in third canto. And Srimad Bhagavatam, as we always know, that is giving us a light towards our final goal, final destination in our life. Not only that, Srimad Bhagavatam depicts different kind of moods and relationships in the personalities which Srimad Bhagavatam discusses. And similar personalities are Vidura and Uddhava, and they both were intimate devotees of the Lord. And they both are feeling right now where we are, they are feeling great separation from the Lord. Separation from the Lord, which is called Vipralamba Bhav, love in separation, is also transcendental. Just like when Krishna is present in front of a devotee enjoys the company of Krishna in several relationships, 5 main relationships. But this relationship is also very important, which Krishna has given to almost every devotee he has met in his manifested pastimes. So we can see Vidura and Uddhava, they both are lamenting because of the separation of the Supreme Lord. So now we have seen the conversation going on between Uddhava and Vidura, and we have been keep reading the first 4 chapters of 3rd canto, where Vidura met with Uddhava, and he asked Uddhava about the welfare of Krishna, his relatives. And in response to that, Uddhava felt so much transcendental bliss in separation, and he started talking with Vidura about the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, outside of Vrindavan, and then how the entire dynasty got annihilated, and how Uddhava received Uddhav Gita, or the instructions from the lotus mouth of Sri Krishna himself. And yesterday, we read that Uddhava directed Vidura towards Maitreya Muni because of so many reasons which were explained in yesterday's class. So today, Shukadev Goswami started speaking with this verse, in this verse. Till now, Uddhava and Vidura, they were talking, but now Shukadev Goswami started speaking. And he's saying, he is talking with Parikshit Maharaj. And he started saying that, see, the importance, the theme, the main theme of today's verse is importance of hearing. And hearing doesn't mean that anything is going inside our ear and anything is going out, right? Like garbage in and garbage out. That's not the hearing which Shukadev Goswami here is talking about. That after discussing with Vidura, the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc. on the bank of Yamuna. So we have seen that whenever 2 devotees of the Lord, they meet, even Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says in chapter 10, whenever my 2 devotees meet with each other, at that time, they glorify my pastimes. They talk about my dealings with other devotees, and that gave them utmost satisfaction. And that's what happened. Vidura and Uddhava spoke about the pastimes of Krishna, which are relishing and nourishing for anybody in their spiritual path. So here, Shukadev Goswami, he is emphasizing the importance of hearing. As I always say, that it's very important to take out the underlying teachings from the verse which we are reading, because that's why this literature has been given to us. Because if reading a story is one thing, and reading a story also gives us information, nourishment, because these are pastimes of Krishna. But at the same time, there are some teachings which we can derive from certain verses or from the purports. So the theme of today's discussion will be importance of hearing, and then how from that importance of hearing, a devotee can become a top level devotee, which is called Uttama Adhikari. And Uttama Adhikari has the symptoms which has been discussed here. That how Krishna, Uddhava and Vidura, although they are already on the topmost level of devotion, but still Shukadev Goswami putting the importance of hearing at most, how even the devotees who are at the topmost level of devotion can gain from it. So that's how hearing is important. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport in Canto 7, chapter 25, 25th, he is the famous verse of of Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. In that, Srila Prabhupada in the purport explained the importance of Shravanam very nicely. And Srila Prabhupada is writing that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explains in his Tathya the meaning of word Shravana. So we can see how this Shravana is distinguished. In order to distinguish this word Shravana from ordinary mundane hearing, our acharyas has given us the definition of Shravana. And what is the definition of Shravana? It is submissive oral reception. That means when hearing, oral means hearing, listening with submissiveness and eagerness, and with rapt attention to spiritual subject matters. That's the definition which is given to us by our acharyas. So, and this Shravanam, whenever we talk about Shravanam, specifically in Vedic literature, it means hearing the transcendental sound vibration. Now, before going up to that, in general, in our life, hearing is very important. We can see that, there is a proverb. I don't know how, if we are using this proverb here, but in India, we always, our parents used to say that, 2 ears are given and there is 1 mouth. So that means, why 2 ears are given? Because hear more and speak less. So, I don't know how this proverb is authentic, but that's what we used to listen when we were small, right? Which means that we are intended to hear more than we speak. And also, in our day-to-day life, we are very familiar with the importance of hearing. For example, children in school, they learn languages by hearing, right? Like A, this is A, the sound of A is A. B, sound of B is B. C, K, like that. And then when there is a letter or there is a word cat, so how they read K, like that. Because they are hearing like that, the sound from their teacher. So if we see, even our reading, our chanting is an abstract of hearing. Sometimes we think that, okay, I have heard enough. Now there is no need for me to hear. I can just chant my rounds while class is going on or something like that. But I have heard that in one of the lecture, that how important even hearing, because if we are not hearing, then the taste of that spiritual subject matter will not going to develop, which encourage us to chant Krishna's beautiful names. That's why what happened, I'm talking about myself, even after years and years of practice in chanting, we are still on the Namaprad, chanting in Namaprad stage. There are different levels of chanting also. Namaprad, Namabhas, chanting in chanting pure names of the Lord. So still in the very bottom stage of chanting. Why? Because hearing is not maybe done properly. So Even in our mundane life, before we learn to write and read of any language, we always hear. So hearing is very important, even in children learning language, or even in any school, in any university. It's very important to hear. So we can say that hearing is the soul of knowledge. When we speak of soul of knowledge, so that means it is the key to acquire knowledge. If we go according to the senses, so ears, our tongue, our nose, our eyes, they are our skin, they are called knowledge acquiring senses. They are Gyan Indriya, which are different from the action senses. Although our action senses or the working senses are important too, our hands, legs, our evacuating organ, our reproductive organ, all these senses are important too. But if we see, our knowledge acquiring senses are important than our working senses, or action working senses. These are better. I mean, not better, I mean they are of more important than our action senses. And out of all these Gyan Indriyas, or the knowledge acquiring senses, ears are the most important. Why? Because when we hear information, then information goes inside us, and we try to gather information, and we then analyze it to some degree, and then we act accordingly. So, and then we act accordingly. So it's very important. There is a famous political activist I heard, Helen Keller. She was in America, and she was very intellectual, and she did a research, and she said that blindness is still okay, but if somebody is deaf, it's the worst misfortune, because ears are very, very important. Even when our all other Gyan Indriyas are not in consciousness, at that time, our ears are still active. For example, when we are sleeping, our Gyan Indriyas are also sleeping, our body is also sleeping, action senses or working senses are sleeping. But if we want to wake a person, what we do? We put an alarm, or we put an alarm. That's the sound. When sound goes inside the ear, then the person wake up. So that's why hearing or sound, which sound is the subtle portion of this organ. So it's very important. And we can see we have heard about Bilva Mangal Thakur. We have heard about Surdas. They were blind saints, right? Vaishnav saints. But they were able to achieve the Supreme Lord only by hearing and speaking, chanting about Krishna. So even if you don't have eyes, so that's okay. But hearing is a very important part. And ears, they are one of the primary sense organ which acquire knowledge. That's why sound is very, very important. Actually, in Vedic literature, Vedanta Sutra, Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they all declare that sound is actually the origin of everything. We have read in Canto 2, Chapter 10. Yeah, Canto 2, Chapter 10, we have read clearly that the Virat Rupa, he wanted to hear, and that's how sound generate, ears generate. So sound is the subtle element, and sound is the reason, is actually the origin of everything. It is the beginning of whole creation. From sound, what originated from sound, ether comes, and then from ether there is an other element, and then there is an other element, and the hierarchy or goes down. So that's how important, how much important sound is. So this is sound in general. But what happened? But when we talk about the transcendental sound, at the end of Vedanta Sutra, there is there are two words given: anavriti shabdat. Anavriti shabdat. This shabdat is transcendental sound vibration. So we have been, let's just take the example of a rocket. When someone, when the scientist, they try to send the rocket into the spaceship or any satellite into the spaceship, it has to go at certain velocity. It has to go at certain velocity so that the rocket or the satellite just cross the pull of gravitational force of this earth and situate itself into the space, right? Situate itself into the space. And if there is not certain velocity in it, it will never going to cross the pull of the gravitational pull of the earth, and it will not be able to situate itself into this space. So similarly, this sound, the transcendental sound, this transcendental sound, this transcendental sound which is above the three modes of material nature, which is above the three modes of material nature, this transcendental sound has the capacity to take the living entity out of the gravitational pull of this samsara or this material universe, and to take this living entity out of this pull of repeated material birth and death and situate this living entity in the spiritual world. The sound is work like the velocity. I just gave the example of rocket just to compare it with how important transcendental sound is. And I said the last two words of Vedanta Sutra, anavriti shabdat, explains this, which I just explained right now, that anavriti shabda, only by shabda or by transcendental sound vibration, this living entity can go outside the sky of this material world and get situate in the spiritual world. If we see what is this material world, this is a prison in the, it is just like a prison in a city. And this city is spiritual sky. And this material world is a prison. So only by the velocity of sound we can, or velocity of transcendental sound, a living entity can cross this ocean of material birth and death. Otherwise, it is not possible. Srila Prabhupada, he was in one of the lectures, he was saying that if we are hearing mundane sound, so this is the difference between mundane sound and transcendental sound. We are hearing anyways, right? Sound is very important. Hearing is important. We have just seen that even in our day-to-day life, how hearing is very, very important. But when we hear about the transcendental subject matter, it has different effect. As I said, that certain velocity, it has that certain velocity through which this living entity can cross the pull of gravitational force of this material world. So for we hear, and we can say now we are hearing, we are, every day we are hearing this shabdat or sound. This is not an ordinary kind of sound, this Srimad Bhagavatam, because it has transcendental qualities. We are hearing transcendental qualities, pastimes, entourage of Krishna, everything, Krishna's paraphernalia, everything we are hearing. And that's what Shukadev Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj. See, this is this is very important. That's why they were discussing the transcendental pastimes, glories, and everything about Krishna in that. So if we go deeper, sound or hearing is the entire, it paves the way, it paves the foundation for the spiritual self-realization. Because whenever we come into the spiritual life, we have some kind of faith. We can have some kind of faith, and that faith we might have generated from the values which we got from our family, from our culture, or from others, like that. That faith is really not our faith. That is kind of an imposed faith. But when we come into spiritual life and we start hearing about this transcendental subject matter, then we develop the real faith. Sthai bhava, or the real faith, we start developing it and start understanding what is our ultimate goal of self-realization. So that's why hearing about the transcendental subject matter is very, very important. So now hearing in itself is on various levels, right? So we can say there is a story in Bhagavad Mahatmya which describe about Gokaran and Dundakari. So I'm not going to go into the complete story, but Gokaran and Dundakari, they were brothers, and Dundakari, he was he was engaged in all kind of bad activities, and he died. And this Gokaran, he was a pious person. Not only pious, he was a devotee of the Lord. He was reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he realized that his brother, his soul is not just rested, and he just took the body of a ghost after he left his material body. So in order to liberate his brother Dhundakari from the ghost body, Gokaran, he started reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And at the end of the 7 days, he did the Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. At the end of the 7 days, this Dhundakari, who was in the body of ghost, he got liberated. All Vishnu Dutas came and they took him back to spiritual world. Now there were other people also sitting there who were listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. So the question came, if this Dhundakari can go back after 7 days of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, why didn't other who were listening there, they also went with Vishnu Dutas right away? So here come the levels of hearing. There are 3 gunas of material nature, and we call 3 modes of material nature. And believe it or not, 3 modes of material nature affects everything. Mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. So these 3 modes affects every activity of a living entity. And once we cross these 3 modes, so these subject matter, these subject matters are called transcendental because they are above the 3 modes of material nature. Now, these three modes of material nature are still there in the person who is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are different ways of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Way in mode of ignorance, in mode of passion, in mode of goodness. So when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, in order to gain something unusual from it, unusual means if I am just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam because I want to, I'm just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam because I am coming in the assembly and I want to use the information to do something bad with others. So that's hearing in the mode of ignorance. But if I am hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in order to show others how much great of a bhakta I am, and see, I'm also advancing in spiritual life just to show others, make a show out of it, then it's mode of passion. And if I am hearing Srimad Bhagavatam to increase my faith, that is mode of goodness. But when all these things are curtailed, when I'm above of this and I'm hearing Srimad Bhagavatam to please Sri Krishna and to serve him, that is Srimad Bhagavatam in the mode of transcendental. I'm hearing it in the Vasudeva Sattva or in the mode of transcendence. Now, there are 4 types of good hearers. And there are 4 types of bad hearers, listeners. Topmost hearers are there. And the topmost hearers, listeners, are classified into 4 categories. And same, the listeners who are not very attentive, they are also categorized into 4 categories. And I want all of you to just pay a little bit of attention here because these listeners are very much important because we can see where we are. I mean, especially I'm talking about me, I can see where I am. So first I'm going to explain the topmost listeners who are in 4 categories. First one is Chataka bird. Chataka bird. Now, this is a type of bird, which has a very unique nature. It makes a sound, pew, pew, meaning he wants some water. And it keeps calling the clouds for water. And this bird eagerly waits for one constellation, which is called Swastika constellation. And he only drinks the raindrops that fall during that constellation. Even if somebody tries to offer this bird most sacred Ganges water, the bird is not going to drink. Rather, this bird prefers to die. I have never seen this bird in my life, but that's what Shastras give pramana, or the authority is speaking about this bird. So this bird is real. So that's what I wanted to tell this. So the devotees of these categories, they are always eager to hear Krishna Katha, and that too from the sincere devotees of the Lord. They are eager and thirsty to hear only and only about Krishna's nectarian pastime. If someone tells them, okay, now you can hear to some other topic, other katha or some other topic, they are not interested. They would prefer dying remembering Krishna's name than hearing any other mundane topic. And the second category is Hansa bird or swan in English. So this swan has the ability to separate milk mixed in the water. So similarly, devotees of these categories know how to drive the essence of the katha. So as I said, that many speakers speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, and usually the Programs are, there are Bhagavad Saptas in India also, but the organizers of those program, they are people mostly in mode of passion and ignorance. So Hansa bird or the swan kind of devotees, they might listen, but they will derive the essence of Krishna Katha and inspire themselves to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. That's the second category. What was the first? Chataka bird. Second is Hansa. And the third is Shuka or parrot. So parrot has the peculiar quality of learning words and repeating them as it is. And we know Shuk Uvacha, right? We just read here, Shri Shuk Uvacha. That means the devotee in this category, they listens to Krishna Katha very attentively. And whenever they talk about Krishna Katha in front of others, they repeat as it is, without any adulteration, without adding or subtracting anything. So that's a kind of devotee, and that's a person who is eligible to become a representative of the disciplic succession. Same to same, whatever is given, the same exact message can be delivered without any plus and minus. And the fourth is Meena or fish. Now, fish cannot survive without water. If you put a fish into a muddy water, the fish is not going to survive. Fish needs ocean or ponds or little bit of depth. So devotees in this category, they love Krishna Katha so much that, if something else is given to them, they feel that they are dying. So that's the fourth categories. What are the four categories? Topmost listeners: Chataka Birda, Swan, Shuka, and Meena. And now let's talk about the lower categories of listeners. I think I am one of them, but I just want to explain. First is woof or Vika. So this woof, it makes sound like woo, like this sound, right? Woof. And very much whosoever listen to this kind of sound, they get scared. So this kind of person, they come to the Katha just to disturb the Krishna Katha. They will make comments and they will start fighting with the speaker. They will talk unnecessarily and sometimes argue and sometimes try to create nuisance in the Katha. When the Katha is going on, whatever point is suiting to their personal motive, they start, that is what, and all these things. So that's one category, woof category. Second is Burunda bird. Now, this is a kind of bird which lives in Himalayas. And this Burunda bird, it listens to the topics discussed amongst the sages. And this Burunda bird, after listening to the discussion of the sages, this bird goes and preach to others, but it does not practice himself. So that's an ineffective preaching. When you are explaining to others and not try to follow yourself, I said not try. I'm not saying whosoever is a preacher is a, pure devotee, but at least one can try to imbibe those teaching into his actual spiritual practice. So that's a kind of listener who is called Burunda bird. And the third is bull. And these type of listeners, they just come there to meet their family and friends, eat prasadam, and just chit-chatting and go back, right? We can see that. I think I am one of them. So just chit-chat, prasad, and go back. Bull. And the fourth category of the bad listener is camel. This camel has a habit of chewing leaves with thorns in it. And it relishes the taste of blood while chewing this way. So the listeners of this category hear the katha, but they get inspired only by the negative characters, or if there is a negative point in the katha. For example, Krishna encouraged the war of Mahabharata. Krishna is responsible. That's true. Krishna is responsible for everything. But they get inspired by the characters like Shakuni, like Duryodhan, like Krishna's Ras Leelas in perverted manner. So these are the four kind of people who come into the category of bad listeners. Wolf, Burunda bird, bull, and camel. So I explained this because there are different types of modes of material nature, and depending on that, the hearing also affects. But here, what we read, Vidura and Udva, they are very exalted devotees of the Lord, and they are discussing about Krishna, devotees of that level. And even after, and when they discussed about the transcendental name, pastimes of the Lord, even the impressions in their mind again come back, and they started feeling the separation from Krishna even more. So that's the importance of hearing. That's the importance of associating with devotees. So when we associate with the devotees, and when we associate the people where we want to reach, at that time, even if we don't have taste, we get the taste. There is a very famous story of a dacoit. And I have heard this story in so many lectures, that there is a dacoit who was sitting into a Bhagavatam Katha, in Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, and his motive was to take advantage of some of the wealthy listeners there who were wearing good jewelries. He wanted to steal after the Katha, after the Bhagavatam Katha. So the narrator of the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, at that time, he was explaining about the beautiful features of Krishna. He was telling, oh, Krishna, he wears peacock feather, he wears this ornament, he has a very beautiful crown, he has a flute. So this dacoit, his attention just went there. Whatever, no matter how hard you try, you just, 2 or 3 words just go into your ear when you are there in the assembly of listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he heard, and then he started hearing more and more. And he kept thinking, oh, looks like this boy Krishna has so much wealth. Because the way he's explaining, that means he has so many ornaments. And the narrator in the story who also explained that Krishna lives in Vrindavan. So this dacoit, he just ran from there, and he started searching for the village Vrindavan. And he reached Vrindavan. And there he started asking people, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I want to see this boy. And they said, oh, Krishna is there towards Krishna's temple. So there he met a boy. And he said, I am Krishna. And then that dacoit saw his beautiful bodily features, and he was thinking in his mind, wow, what nice jewelry he is wearing. I'm going to steal his jewelry, and he's such a small boy. I'm going to talk to him, and I'm going to just try to extract everything from whatever he has. And then he became friends with Krishna, this dacoit. So he started to play with Krishna, and he started to ask Krishna sometimes, Krishna, give me your jewelry. And then Krishna said, no, my mom said that I should not just take out my jewelries like that. And this was happening for a couple of days with this dacoit. And once what happened, he was waiting for Krishna and Krishna didn't show up. And at that time, he realized that this Krishna with whom he was talking, he is actually the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna himself. He was just a dacoit. He did not have any knowledge of Shastras. He did not know that Krishna is the personal form of the Lord, nothing. But he started feeling separation from him. And it said that this dacoit, he became a very elevated Vaishnav saint in the land of Vrindavan after this incident. So that's the importance of hearing. I mean, the point was importance of hearing. You know, even if I fall under the category of bad listeners, still I should only go and listen to Harikatha, to Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Because yena kena prakarena, because this Harikatha has immense effect on the mind, on the subtle body of a listener. Even if somebody belongs to a lower category, that's okay. Still, we should always try to hear more and more with eagerness and submissiveness. Sorry. We should always try to hear. In ancient time, and in one of the lectures, Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, he was saying that I have seen that there was a snake bite, and snake bite can be cured by the magic of mantras, by reciting mantras. And he has seen himself through his eyes. Bhakti Rasamrit Swami, he was saying, in one of the small villages in India. So similarly, we all are being bitten by the snake of Maya. We all are bitten by the snake of Maya, and only when we hear the mantras and the sound, transcendental sound vibration, we can get purified and we can get cured. So that's the essence. In the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, just I'm remembering this past time, there was a spy which was sent by British government in the assembly of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He went there. They wanted to, they wanted some information from this spy. And the spy just dressed himself in a form of devotee. He went there. He was hearing the class given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he kept going again and again for a couple of days just to extract information, what these people are talking. Are they conspiring against the British government? But after going there for a couple of days, this person who was actually a spy of the British government turned into a real devotee and joined party of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the point is, even if I don't have taste of something, this taste can be acquired by the association. Like we can see that even Vidura and Maitreya, who are topmost devotees, are on the level of almost topmost devotees, even for them, this transcendental, when they talk about Krishna, their heart became overblended with the love and separation of the Lord. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that they can see Krishna everywhere. When we hear, then from the Kanishta Bhakta, the Bhakta who are a neophyte devotee, who just can see Krishna in the deity form, who can just see Krishna in the deity form in the temple and just don't care about other people or other Vaishnavas. Even from this level, if we keep hearing, we can reach to the point of Madhyama Bhakta. The Madhyama Bhakta who has the knowledge of Shastras, who has the Vedic knowledge, and who love and who adore all the people who are favorable, and also at the same time he feel pity on those who are not in Krishna consciousness and not on this path of transcendental knowledge. And from Madhyama Bhakta even to Uttama Bhakta, And this Uttama Bhakta can see Krishna in his personal form everywhere. There is, we know, three aspects of the absolute truth, and the final aspect and the complete aspect is the personal form of the Lord. So a devotee who has reached the level of Uttama Bhakta, and Srila Prabhupada very clearly defined Kanishta Bhakta, Madhyama Bhakta, and Uttama Bhakta in Nectar of Devotion, verse 5. Sorry, Nectar of Instruction, purport of verse 5. He's explaining the types. So, hearing, as I gave, it philosophically, hearing is very important. These ears are very important. How sound is the reason why all this creation has been created, and how even in our mundane affairs we can see that reading and learning is abstract of hearing, and hearing is so important that, even if we, and there are categories which we discussed, and even if we belong to any category, still hearing is important, and we should keep hearing. And even if we don't have taste for hearing, if we are just kind of woof, right? Woof kind of category. I mean, I'm a woof. I just want to create some nuisance in Katha. Then still, it is very advisable that you go and hear, because hearing brings you up. Like I gave the example of a rocket, which can, if we shoot at a certain velocity, can cause the pull of gravitational force. So similarly, hearing is that velocity. If we keep hearing, then this hearing of transcendental pastimes of the Lord can shoot us up to that level which Srila Prabhupada is describing in this purport, that they started seeing Krishna, Vishwamurti. Vishwamurti doesn't mean the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. Vishwamurti means Murti. When the word Murti comes, that means form. So, form of the Lord, that person, devotee of the Lord, sees everywhere after discussing about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. And even if we don't have taste, we can acquire taste for hearing. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also, we can see there is a verse in Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 17, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Hirde Antaha Stohi Abhadrani. Whatever their dust accumulated since time immemorial, we have this anarthas by Shravana Kirtanam, by Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna, by hearing the Katha of Krishna, this get clearer. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that clear this mirror by keep hearing. And celebrated son of Mother Devahuti, Kapil Muni, who is one of the incarnations of the Lord, he also explained Mother Devahuti in chapter 29 of this canto 3rd. He's explaining Mad Guna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhasya. Mad Guna Shruti Matrena. That Matrena, only by hearing my stuti or my guna, my qualities, only by hearing my qualities. Manogatir avichinna yata ganga bhaso madhav. That means only, the translation goes like that, that only by hearing my transcendental pastimes, my qualities, the mind of a devotee just start flowing towards me. Just like Ganga. Ganga, it just crosses so many obstacles and then finally reach into the ocean. And finally reach into the ocean. So similarly, my devotee, he who is hearing continuously, he automatically starts flowing towards me. So I have this. Thank you so much for joining this morning. And any questions, comments, or anything, any corrections, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Comments are wonderful class. Lot of points. I don't know whether I'll be, what I can say is, but bull or wolf or Brunda or whatever.
Yeah.
But I listen to Bhagavatam every day. And if I miss few seconds also, I feel so this thing. No. I have to listen to that. But I don't know how much I am getting in my mind. How much I am putting in my practice. So that is so much. I try all that. Like all these birds you said. And I'm not that actually that good. Taking, like Hansa, taking milk and leaving the water, leaving the milk and water, separating like that. No, I cannot. But I'm just trying to do every day. I want to listen. And sometimes, I take a little bit in that. And that I if I see anybody, I want to tell that thing, I want to use that. That kind of mentality is there. But practice, that's very hard. Lot of things are there in this Dukhalayam. And when we are very clear and we want to do that also, suppose we go to a katha somewhere, and then I want to listen also. Somebody might be saying, "Oh, your sari is so good. Your jewelry is so good." That takes the attention from us. A lot of things are there if we are good. Even kids also. You teach a lot of things. When they go to school, they find their friends and they will say something else and they'll come home and say, "Mom, no, not that one. I want this one." So that is the thing, we are living in this kind of world. But I love the class today. You said a lot of points. It's very good. Thank you very much.
Please bless me.
God bless you.
Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So if there are no comments, no questions, nothing, so we can just end our class here. Thank you so much for joining and for your attention. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu
Patitanam pavanebhyo
Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo,
Namo
Namo Namaha.
Namaha. Hare Krishna.
ki jai.
Jai.
Today is Ekadasi.
Hare Krishna.
Ekadashi.
Hare Krishna. Very nice class, Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mataji.
very much.
Happy Ekadashi.
Thank you, thank you, Mother Madhavi Gaurangi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Happy Ekadashi to all of you.
Happy Ekadasi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.